Welcome to the channel, everybody. So we are getting there. Next chapter almost done in our pursuit for Paragon. This will leave us with only 3 chapters left to go. So this one is a little bit of an interesting one. We've got a few things to talk about here. We're going to talk about the path nodes, who you're going to be facing, a little bit of strategy to go into this, and a couple ideas that you can really kind of look at, because I think there are a few different ways that you can look at, especially the path and the boss. You'll see here there were a couple of mistakes made with the boss, but outside of that, for the most part, we did pretty good and went through this fairly well. The strategy I used was going with a primarily mutant team, but we'll talk about why as we get into it. So let's go ahead and get right in there, guys, and look at where we're going. Okay, a little bit, like I said, the strategy that I went with was just bringing in a mutant team with immunities. I brought in Magneto and Storm primarily, and Cable, all for synergy purposes, and then I brought in Apocalypse for not only immunity purposes, but also to be able to horseman Iceman, who was going to do most of the work for me, because he does have the primary amount of immunities that we're going to need to be able to get through the path. Now, that being said, even without immunities, there are ways to get through this that a second strategy is going to be able, a second and even a third strategy is going to be viable to be looked at here. Let's go ahead and get in and look at the nodes here, and I'll talk to you a little bit further about where that comes into play here. So right off the bat here, you're going to see with the path node, the first one is biohazards. Whenever you get hit, they have a 20% chance of inflicting bleed on you, and whenever you hit into their block, there's a 50% chance that they're going to inflict poison on you. Okay, this being said, obviously this would be my reason for bringing in a champion with immunities, because then I don't have to worry about either one of those things. I can just fight them straightforward. But then you get acclamations, which with acclamations, every 5 hits that a mutant lands on the defender, they will purify all bleed, incinerate, and cold snap damage, and gain a 10% bar of power for every one that they do. So if you can get a champion that you can do high damage with, and not worry about taking a lot of damage off of them, you can purify yourself anyways with the right mutant. Now, the next thing that is a factor here is coolant leak. Now, this is the reason we went mutant, not only because of the fact of the acclamations, but also on top of that coolant leak. If a robot champion, which would normally also be a very viable counter to bleed and poison, would get inflicted with a bleed, instead they get an incinerate. So this is where a robot, a tech champion, isn't going to do nearly as much for you. That being said, there is one last node here to look at, and that is combo lock. Now that one, you never lose your combo during this path. Now, this is where, like I said, there's a couple different strategies. Either come in with a mutant that is fully immune, or somebody else that is fully immune, preferably a mutant. Bring in a mutant that's a high damage dealer, and just consistently keep getting up to that 5th hit, so that you continue to bring off the bleed off of you. But be careful, because you are going to be worried about that poison, because that isn't going to get nullified. Or the last strategy that I think is also very viable here, because of that combo lock, there's no way for you to ever actually lose your combo. So this is actually a really great path for somebody like Aegon, where his combo meter is so important there and carries over from fight to fight. So if you're never going to lose that combo meter, you could actually take him through all of this. Now, that being said, it's still going to be a risk, and probably one of the ones where you're going to have to use a few more potions and possibly a revive, just because of the fact that he is going to be taking that bleed and poison damage, and does not have a way to purify them off of himself. So That's where it's a little bit more of a loose strategy, but it is still a viable strategy to discuss, especially if you have a high ranked Aegon and he is somebody that you enjoy using. This is probably one of the first times to get a real good chance to use him to his fullest in a setting outside of something like Realm of Legends. Now, that being said, let's go ahead and look at who's on the path. Obviously, like I said, I went with Iceman because of the full immunities, and especially with Horseman in him, that meant that he was going to be even stronger, and I should be able to get through most of the path with him by himself. Okay, so on your path here, it's actually a short one. You're going to have Ronan, Longshot, Nick Fury, Human Torch, and then Elsa Bloodstone. After that, you'll end up getting over to Morningstar. She is the mini boss. She's the one that's got everybody linked. Morningstar fight is going to be fairly straightforward. Obviously, she's also got increased bleed, but there are two ideas that you can go with here, especially with the team I brought in, which is either A, continue on with Iceman and keep the immunities up and just fight it straightforward, or also on top of that, we have Magneto on the team, and she is a hashtag Metal Champion. So again, another possibility there. Do keep in mind, Magneto does not have the immunities, so he is going to be able to taking a bit of direct damage out of the debuffs, but beyond that, it's still a viable option, especially if you can get his prowess charges up and SP3. You can take down quite a few champions. Morningstar is no exception to this. So after that, you're going to go over to the boss for this particular path, which is Gwenperion. Combination between Gwenpool and Hyperion. Interesting mix there. She's got all of Hyperion's upsides, all of Gwenpool's upsides. Definitely an interesting fight. But she has quite a few different nodes on her that you're going to have to take into consideration. And a couple of them almost actually do contradict one another. The first one being high energy. And she's got a 99% energy resistance, and all damage that would be still inflicted, that remaining 1%, gets regenerated. Now, if she's inflicted with Incinerate, Shock, or Cold Snap, she gains a bar of power every 10 seconds. On top of the fact that she's already got incredible power gain from being part of the Hyperion mix. Now, that being said, she also has selective time stream. This is where the contradiction comes in. Every 20 seconds, she's going to regenerate all her health and remove all debuffs off of her, unless she's inflicted with either Incinerate or Shock. So, Incinerate and Shock are she's going to have resistance to, and on top of that too, it's going to cause her to gain more power, have more power gain. But if you don't have Incinerate or Shock on her, she's going to turn around and regenerate all of her health every 20 seconds. So either A, you got 20 seconds to take her down, or you need to have Incinerate or Shock on her. That being said, if you use Magneto, he can actually bypass all of it. I'll show you that here in just a minute. Now, the next thing is Indomitable. Her healing abilities cannot be reversed. After that, she has power buildup. If she gets to 2 bars of power at any point in time, which she's going to be power gaining quickly, repeatedly, if she gets 2 bars of power at any time, she starts getting prowess charges every 2 seconds. And these are indefinite prowess charges. They're going to stack, and they're going to continue to be there as long as she gets any of them. Now, if she gets to 10 prowess charges, she also has power overflow, which makes it so that all of her specials become unstoppable. This is a interesting fight to have, but to be honest with you, outside of the mistakes that we made, it really, once we got the Magneto option really figured out on her, that you'll see, we take huge chunks out of her and we end her off fairly quickly. So let's go ahead and get into the path here and see how it went for me. Right off the bat here, we are going to be getting into Ronan there. Now, of course, this is the Hawkeye version of Ronan, not the Cosmic version. So he is a more interesting champion to deal with. Obviously, plenty of bleed, and he's a little bit of a flip-flop jumper. Um, Now, right off the bat here, we did bring in Apocalypse. Of course, the whole point of that was to, do whatever we could. If we were going to get a chance at him, great. We'll take him down if we can. But at minimum, we wanted to go in there and get our initial 4 genetic charges so that we could turn around and Horseman, Iceman for the very next fight. Now, that being said, due to exhaustion, I clearly did not do what I was supposed to do because you don't see the Horseman on Iceman even at this point. But we went ahead and ran Iceman normally through the path, and we finished off Ronan fairly quickly there and went on to Longshot here. Now, Longshot is one of those champions that I always kind of have a mixed bag with. He's not difficult per se. More often than not, you'll watch that I'll take him 70-80% of the way down before he does too much damage to me. Obviously, that's not the case in this particular fight, but there's so many times that any of his specials, especially if he's got those good karma charges up, can just walk through a champion that's already dominating him. So he's an interesting fight to have normally anyways. It's kind of the reason I use him for Battlegrounds defense often, because of the fact not only does he have that, but his animations are so long that he eats up the timer quite a bit. But you'll see here, we did have to revive to bring Iceman in a second time against him, but we're doing a little better this time than we did the last. And it's getting him there. As you can see, it doesn't even matter if we take a hit any time because of that combo lock, which is absolutely wonderful because it does quite a bit for us. It would do quite a bit for us if we were using somebody like an Aegon. If you're looking at 50, 60, 70 hits on a combo meter, again, every fight, you'll rack Aegon up into his ultimate potential by the time you get to that boss. So I do think that he's still a viable option. It's just one of those things that you're going to have to understand that you're probably going to have to use a lot more potions than you really would want to do, because you are going to have to be healing him up from all of the degen damage. Now, getting over here to Nick Fury. Fury is obviously one of those ones, again, I don't mind fighting him. I absolutely love having him on my team. But it is a pain when you get him all the way through that first LMD stage, and then all of a sudden he regenerates all the way back up. Now, that being said, obviously, once you get him to his true Nick Fury form, he is going to instantly eat up his own health all the way down to 30%, and then at that point you want to get in there and finish that last 30%. But even with that being said, I mean, to be truthful with you, stack up a few debuffs on him, help him eat up his own damage a little extra, and we still fairly easily got through this. You can see there, like I said, 107 hits on this particular combo meter towards taking down Nick Fury here. I mean, that's a tenth of the way to maximum charges on somebody like Aegon. So you can see where I talk about the idea that is a secondary strategy, third strategy. I wouldn't necessarily decide to go with it myself just because of the amount of potions you're going to have to use because of the immunities. Not that we didn't use plenty of potions and revives here ourselves because of mistakes that were made, but pretty much every champion on this path is going to have something that'll eat into Aegon's health quite a bit. So he's an option, but definitely not who I would say first. Obviously, Iceman, an Emma Frost, somebody with plenty of immunities that's a mutant is more ideal. Colossus to avoid the bleed, but of course he'll take poison damage. So you just kind of play it by ear. Look at your mutant roster, figure out who's in your best positions. It's always kind of fun to do Human Torch versus Iceman, because if this was comics, this would be a fairly classic battle. Um, you know, Johnny's pretty cocky, and he loves to think that he could just melt Iceman, but at the same time, Omega level mutant here and can literally freeze the water in your body. So we got most of the way through Johnny there, but went ahead and brought in Apocalypse because we'd had to revive him already so that we could have this Horseman option. Again, if I'd actually activated the Horseman option like I should have on several occasions, Iceman would have had a bit more power there and had a bit more availability. Johnny gave us a little more problem here than I really feel like I should have had. I think this was one of those episodes that I'm going to chalk a little bit up to exhaustion. We've been pushing quite a bit the last few weeks here, just trying to get levels out, trying to get up to that next progression on both accounts. And, I've been doing better about making sure that I'm taking a few breaks. But we are still going to be looking at no problem getting to Paragon before July 4th, and we should still have it by the end of the month here. Same thing with the Cavalier. We're almost done with that. We'll have that here in just a few days. Obviously, we're quite a bit behind that on where we are on videos, but those are consistently going to be coming out to you guys. So no big deal on progression there. We're getting everything there. We're going to be seeing a lot better deals, a lot better rank ups on both accounts. Elsa here, again, not bad. Going through her fairly well, but just making a couple mistakes there that we shouldn't have made. Catching some of the specials that we should have been able to dodge and having to revive and bring in Apocalypse was absolutely unnecessary, but we did turn around and, like I said, we brought in Iceman initially while wounded to go up against Morningstar here, but we turned around and brought in Magneto here with that hashtag mutant champion so we could do quite a bit more. This actually was the level that Magneto finally clicked for me. You're not going to see it on this fight, but coming up on the next fight, it's not going to be the first time we use Magneto, but as it goes, I kind of really understood that my biggest problem with how I've been using Magneto is I've been worrying more about getting the prowess charges up as opposed to getting the special meter up. If you can get that special meter up before you worry about those prowess charges, then you can actually do quite a bit more to benefit yourself because you're not fighting on trying to keep those prowess charges up while getting the combo meter up, while getting that power meter up. So, I mean, that SP3 with him is just ridiculous if you have 30 or more prowess charges. Now, you see here, we did switch out Iceman for Hyperion there, and that was strictly because of the fact of the shock incinerate from the selective time stream that I was talking about there. I thought we were going to go ahead and do Storm here, and we, like I said, we hadn't horsemaned anybody yet, so we horsemaned her thinking, hey, we'll go ahead and bring her in, get plenty of shock damage on there, and be able to just walk through Gwen. Of course, the shock damage that she applies is considered energy, so we're not doing anything to Gwen here, and she's about to go ahead and prove to us why Storm was not a great option here. So we turned around and we brought Hyperion in. Again, high damage dealer, quick power gain, can apply incinerate. We got this. No problem. Nope. Walked right straight through him like he wasn't even there. This is where those nodes, what one does and what another does can conflict with one another so much that it negates how you beat the note. This is where, like I said, we brought Magneto in and we didn't see much result there, but I saw just enough that considering he was doing more than what Hyperion and Storm had done, we went ahead and tried to do it. Again, you'll see here, this is the first few attempts. Prowess charge, prowess charge, prowess charge, prowess charge. Just trying to get that prowess meter up before, trying to get the combo meter up, which didn't do us any good. Start to get frustrated there. Okay, so that's not going to work because I'm doing it wrong. So let's bring Hyperion back in and try again. No, complete total waste of time for us, to be truthful with you. Again, get in there, start doing prowess charges, start building up, start wasting our time because we don't even have a combo meter ready, and she's going to eat through us if we don't have the combo meter ready so that we can instantly click on it the second that those prowess charges are ready. Bad way of playing it. Again, revive up Magneto. Let's do it again because, hey, we're not learning our lesson here. But as we do, we go ahead and get in here and attempt it again. Now you'll see here, no prowess charges this time. I'm not worrying about getting those prowess charges. We got the SP1 built up. Going to bait out her SP1 so she doesn't get to the SP2. Then we're going to turn around and work on our SP2. Again, try and bait out the SP1 so that we don't have to worry about her SP2. Almost up to the SP3. Now, this is when we start building up prowess charges. Okay, already up into the double digits, up into the 20s, and bam, fire that off, and you're going to watch here. For the first time in this whole match, we start doing real damage to her. We ate away most of her health just by doing that. This is where Magneto finally truly clicked for me. Obviously, we fired it off that SP1 at the end because we were dying just to kind of get that death squeal out and make sure that we did something to her. Now, knowing that her health was so low, we came in and got cocky and tried to go back to the old methods again. And we're able to do quite a bit of damage here, but it caused me to have to revive another additional time, whereas that if I had done what I did in the previous attempt once again, we would have taken her down in one more shot. And to be truthful with you, if we would have started with Magneto and done it the right way from the first go, worst case scenario, one revive, and we would have walked through her. But that being said, guys, that's another chapter in the books. That's another level down, and that gives us another step closer to finally reaching Paragon and having that top tier title. You can see here at the end of every chapter, you're going to get a chapter offer. It's great as far as, knowing that you're going to continue to progress and stuff. I obviously did not worry about picking that up in any way, shape, or form. We've got units and potions and revives in the ready so that we can continue on, and we will be doing that again next week. I do apologize that we didn't get a video out yesterday. Life kind of got in the way, but at the same time, we are continuing on. We will continue the Cavalier and the Paragon series is next week. We'll have a huge crystal opening coming on Monday, and I will be live tomorrow as I am every Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I hope to see everyone there. Love seeing everybody in the chat. Feel free to stop in if you're interested. Feel free to donate. The channel can always use it, but I'm here for you guys, and we will continue to get things going, and I'll see you guys back for the next one. Peace out.